Good afternoon and welcome to our next full out chat. I'm your host, Steve Solberg, and today we have Whitney, Agee Hollman, University of Kentucky, USA Coed. I'm excited to hear her story. I've known Whitney for years, but I never got to know her background, so I'm very excited to hear her story and to see how she got into cheerleading, and which led to Kentucky and USA Coed and all the things she's been able to accomplish in the cheer world. So, as every coach says, let's do it one more time and let's go full out.
Out chats. You know what time it is. We got control, we got the right, we got the vision, you lose the sight. We will never stop. What? We got the drop, yeah. What time is it? Oh, we're live in 5, 6, 7, 8.
With the music, we are full out, and we are speaking with Whitney. Whitney!
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? How's everything?
Oh, I am good. I'm
Good.
trying to get a house and settle down, but we're getting there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I had Whitney earlier, and on my Coach's Corner USA Coed episode, which was awesome. That was so much fun. But I really wanted to hear your story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, we are in for a ride then.
And as I ask everybody, kind of start from the beginning, and again, just talk about kind of your childhood. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into cheerleading? And then eventually we'll get to University of Kentucky.
Okay. So the very, very beginning would be before I was born. So fun fact, some people know, some people don't. My mom cheered at the University of Kentucky in 1992, 1993. So like that was way before, well, I guess not. It was a couple years before I was born. And before she cheered at the University of Kentucky, she cheered at George Mason with the VP of Varsity, Bill Seeley. So I've been around it a lot. Like Pat Wedge, all those big guys, Mike Pear, like all of those big names. Like they already knew my mom before I got into it. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But my mom like set me up for success. So yeah, so my mom cheered, and then I was born in 1995 in Huntington, West Virginia. And Huntington, West Virginia is like this really teensy tiny small town. But it's actually about an hour away from Moorhead and about an hour and 45 minutes away from Lexington. So like Moorhead's like the halfway point. So I had all these amazing like cheerleading schools around me, and I didn't even know what was going on. I was lucky enough to have a mom that was great at cheerleading but didn't push me to be anything that I didn't want to be. I really did, like I said, I had no idea what I was getting into. She put me in like midget league cheerleading, you know, and like they cheer like the little kids playing football. So I did that when I was younger, and I took tumbling classes, and I only did that until I was like 10, I think. It wasn't anything crazy. I didn't do anything wild. And then one day I just up and decided to quit. And my mom was like, okay. She was like, whatever. Okay, whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay. But I stayed tumbling. So I still like stayed in stuff, but it was definitely not gymnastics. I was definitely not a gymnast, but I still stayed tumbling. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I was like, you know what? I think I want to cheer at Kentucky, you know, because that's normal, you know, freshmen are just like, I think I want to cheer at Kentucky. And so I was like, you know, I should probably start like cheering again if this is what I want to do. And so my mom and I started looking around. I cheered high school here in West Virginia, but cheerleading in West Virginia is a little bit weird. It's considered a sport by the SSAC. And so they basically like make their own rules. And if it were me, now I look back at it and I'm like, this is insane. This is not normal. This is totally crazy. But just for instance, like we don't use mats. We don't have spots. We tumble on and compete on hardwood basketball court. And basically now it's like who can do the most tucks in a row. It's something crazy. And so I really had like no idea what the rest of the world looked like in cheerleading. I never went to UCA camp. I never went to NCAA camp. We didn't compete at nationals because you're not allowed to, because it's considered a sport here, so you're not allowed to compete outside of state. So my mom got me into all-star cheerleading as well. And that is how I kind of, I don't know, got my eyes opened a little bit to everything else that was going on around me. I cheered. Oh gosh, you found some old pictures.
You didn't send me anything, so I had to do some stalking.
Oh my gosh, you did. Yeah. So I competed with River Cities All-Stars. It's one of the like very, very OG gyms. They were really, really good back in like the 90s. It was like one of the first big gyms, but it wasn't like big now. It was big then. And I cheered for Hank Light. And he's a University of Kentucky alumni as well. And so he really helped me, get prepared for what I wanted to do and what I thought I wanted to do. And I was there for 4 years. And I mean, I won UCA like All-Star Nationals. Like, we were pretty good. Like, it was fine. But I was on an all-girl team. Like, there's no boys under those stunts down there. I was on an all-girl team. And I think my senior year, we had one boy. And I think we could do a toss dance, but it was never in the routine or anything. I like didn't know. So Hank would do me these favors that I really didn't know were like the biggest favors in the world. And he would have Blake Johnson come in and do like some of our choreography, but he would make Blake stunt with me. He would make Blake do privates with me and fix me. I was awful. Let me tell you, I was awful. He wouldn't tell me that. Hank wouldn't tell me that. No, but I was not. It was not good. I was not good. And so we did that for a while, and I started going to clinics, and Hank would introduce me to people. I would stay at his house, and it was a really good opportunity for me. So I started going to clinics when I was a junior in high school, that fall, and I started getting to know, when you go to Kentucky clinics, there's a group of kids that is very well known, and it seems like every year, like the class that's coming up, like some of those kids have been coming for years and years and years, and some of them, where they've cheered, their full names, like how many like championships they've won through All-Stars or like high school or whatever. And I was just so not into that, and I was so I don't know, I just didn't know until I went, and I was like, what? And all I knew is that I wanted to cheer at Kentucky. So I did my very best. And my mom introduced me to T. Lynn, because T. Lynn was the advisor when she was there too. So she introduced me to T. Lynn, and I didn't know at that time that T. Lynn would be such a big part of my life now. But I just thought it was cool that she knew people there, and she was introducing me to people there. And we are a program that's very lucky to have a lot of kids that are legacies and come through. So there were other kids there whose moms had cheered too, and she knew Molly Beagley just made the team, and she's a legacy as well. And so my mom has known her mom, so it was really neat to see all that. That was really my first taste. Okay, my mom was good. Thanks, Mom. You really set me up here. But I really didn't know about any other schools either. So I got to my senior year. And I had really started Coed studying 6 months before tryouts. I did my fall clinic my junior year, and then I left it, and then I did the spring one, then whatever. And then when I got to my fall clinic my senior year, my mom was like, okay, well, Whitney, maybe we should actually get you in some privates down here on a regular basis. We need to start getting prepared for tryouts. And so I've been working with Blake, got me up with some other people, and I started doing some privates and started getting prepared a little bit. And bear with me here, I didn't apply to any other school. I was not recruited at all by any school. I only knew Kentucky. I didn't know about Bama. I wasn't recruited by Bama or UCF or anywhere. So thank the good Lord I made the team, because I had no other plan. No other plan. And when I got to tryouts, I'd been working on it for a little while. I think I thought I had things set. And, the good Lord has me, and I've made it through the first day of tryouts, and I made it through the second day, and now I've made it through my interview, and it's like, it is Saturday night, and we have Sunday morning, like, final formal tryouts that everybody comes to and watches, and you see the videos from, we're in our leotards and skirts, and the guys are in their polos. And that Saturday night, Blake Johnson was supposed to be my elite. Such an angel. He was supposed to be my elite. He was doing me favors. Like, I was like, I am good to go. Well, Blake threw I think it might have been a full four or something. And I just watched him walk off the mat and sit down. And he was like, I just ripped my Achilles. And I was like, you did what?
Wow.
I was like, are you okay? And he was like, no, I'm not okay. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? I'm incoming freshman. I have no other plan. My mom isn't there to help me this time. And I was just like, I have absolutely no idea what I'm about to do. So Domo came over and, helped me and put me with somebody else. And he actually put me with Adam Sonderhaus, who's now married to Ashley Vanetti. They're actually getting ready to have a baby. But put me with him. And so Adam ended up doing my elite. He was super clutch. He helped me through it all. It kept me super calm. He made me look good for sure. Because I did not have good lines at that time, but he made it work for me. And it was a very big blessing. And from that point, I felt like I really had, they had my back. I was there for a reason. I was really ready to do this. And then I made the team. I don't know if you dug this far. I'm a little scared to ask. I made the team, and then my mom and I got this double Cupid picture, and I was like,
I seen it. I couldn't find it. I seen that picture though, which is the greatest mother-daughter picture of all time.
Well, my hair is super short. My hair was cut up to here, and it was super blonde.
I did find this picture though. There we go.
There's my all-star stuff. I had won states with my high school team and all-star stuff. Yeah, my hair was cut here. I just cut it all off and had no cares in the world. I was so oblivious to everything else. I don't know what I'm thinking, but it all worked out. Thank the Lord. Yeah. So I went into it and just didn't have any other plan, any other I don't know. I just thought that the Lord had me and I was going to do it, and this is what was going to happen. That's what happened, and I'm so thankful that it did, because it was the best 5 years of my life. I grew so much through it. I learned so many things. Yeah, I had the best experiences I've ever had. My freshman year, I think there was 5 of us. 5 freshman girls that made Blue Squad, which is totally unheard of. It's a big deal for a freshman to make Blue Squad in general, but to have 5 of us make it, it was an insanely big deal. And my class was so talented. We were all so amazing. I had Michi coming from Costa Rica. I had Megan Glisson, and I didn't want Megan to make the team. Shh, don't tell her that. I didn't want Megan to be better than I was, and she didn't decide she was going to cheer until 2 weeks before, and she sent Jomo a video and got her tryouts, and I was like, she's so much better than I am. I'm never gonna make this team. I don't know if I ever told her that though. And then she ended up being my best friend. So, but yeah, they were so talented. And that year when I was just so in awe of everything that was happening around me. I was so in awe that I was going to this amazing college, and I was lucky enough to only be an hour and 45 minutes from home. And, I was seeing this SEC stadium and Rupp Arena. There's no words for Rupp Arena. Walking into an arena that's completely packed with 24,000 people, and you're just wow. They're all here and they all want to see us win. It's so amazing. So then when we did this thing called Big Blue Madness, obviously. It is the start of our basketball season. And that was my first real taste of what Kentucky cheer was. And Blue Squad, White Squad do it together. It's a performance. And it is in Rupp Arena in front of 24,000 people. And right after that, we have our mat votes. So we actually, when I was on the team and I was in the program, we voted on who was on mat. And Jomo had the final say. Jomo Thielen had the final say, like cut and dry. But they wanted to know like who we thought should be on mat and what the reasoning was. And it was a very formal thing, and it was to get input and maybe to try to figure out like if something else was going on in the program that they didn't know about that maybe they should be aware of. And I was scared to death. I was so scared. I was shaking when I walked in my meeting. And you schedule your meeting, and it's based on like your class schedule and stuff, but it's over 2 days. So, and you find out personally if you're on mat, and this is before it's released to the team. Everyone finds out individually from the coach, and then they tell us at practice the next day. So I walked into this meeting and I thought, there is no way I am making mat. I thought for sure my roommate Lexi was making mat over me. I knew Megan was going to make mat. Like there's no way. I was like, there's no spot for me. I'm not making it. And Jomo told me I made mat. And I, being the freshman I asked him if he was joking. He didn't find it funny. Why would you ask that? And I was like, I don't know. Like I don't know. I just didn't think that this was a possibility. I don't. So yeah, I made mat. And from there, things kind of took off. I competed that year. We won that year. And then the next year we lost. And then my junior year, we won again. And then my senior year, that was 2017. My senior year was my big year. My senior year was my huge year. And I had not even thought about super senioring. But 2017 was such a high for me, and I almost like considered not super senioring because it was such a high, and I didn't want to go out on anything other than that, but I didn't want to keep any of my eligibility and then look back on it and be like, wow, like I could have cheered like one last year, and I'm so glad that I did. But 2017 was the year that I won nationals with Kentucky. I won NCAA Partner Summit. I won COP Brands International Partner Summit. I won ICU Worlds. Like I won everything that I could have won. And it was all wrapped up into this like little bundle. And it was the greatest thing I'd ever done. And then the next year we went to the Olympics. So it was, those last like 2 years were really hard to top. And I'm not sure that I could even if I tried now, but it was a fun time. It was a lot of hard work. But it was definitely so worth it. And there's no greater feeling than walking out on the mat and having complete confidence in like your teammates and yourselves and knowing that something's going to go right. And I had never felt that before competing with Kentucky, and having that feeling now and knowing that feeling, I wish that for everyone, because it's something that makes your team so much stronger, and it's something that makes you feel stronger as an individual. Having a confidence in yourself and knowing that people have a confidence in you is something that builds your relationships with those people, and it takes you from just like teammates to like not life partners, but like your deepest friends. It's a deeper connection, just like throwing a stunt on that.
We are here with Whitney Agee Hollman. Do you hear any any echoing or anything, Whitney? Or are you good?
Echoing?
You might, yeah, I'm about to say, can you pick up your phone real quick?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, see, now it's gone. Now we're good.
Okay, you should be able to.
That sounds, now it's perfect. Because sometimes when you set your phone on like something, the speaker underneath, like, because that's where my voice is coming out of, it'll echo back. So yeah, no big deal. Well, we are here with Whitney Agee Hollman, and all the comments are blowing up. All these hearts are blowing up. People are absolutely loving your story so far. If you have any questions for Whitney, tap on the bottom. You'll see a question mark that looks like a deck of cards. Send us some questions, and if we get to it later in the show, we will have Whitney answer some questions. So kind of funny, I'm just going to let you know, like, I've been told by multiple people that have had the pleasure of stunning with you that you are the best flyer they've ever stunning with. I've heard that from... Seriously, yeah, I've heard that from multiple people. One of the best things I've ever seen that I still remember was at college camp. One of the guys dropped a full up. dropped just a full up, dropped a full up. And Tony Nash just walks on over to you, throws you, drills the full up. And I just remember being like, oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Tony, like, very good stunner. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, that girl's so good that literally Tony Nash just walked over to her, grabbed her, chucked her up, and hit a full up with her. I mean, I was like, holy cow. But Reese White, as you know, is one of my helpers here at Purdue. And so I had a couple girls on my team that absolutely idolized you. They think they just absolutely loved you as a flyer. And he showed them some of your videos from privates that you took.
Yeah, I was awful. I told you, I was awful. It was awful. Reese had to put so much work for me to just get me to figure out my lines. But Reese was such a meticulous and technical teacher that he laid such a good foundation for me, and it made everything so much easier later. Like, he
100%. Like, Reese is, I tell anybody, if you learn from Reese, you're going to be ready for college, for Coed stunning. There's no doubt. But the video was literally just Purdue up to hand in hand, and you just couldn't hit the hand in hand. I just couldn't believe it.
I could not find that body line to save my life. Like, I think that we spent probably 2, maybe 3 solid privates just trying to get me to figure out how to get my, like, that line where my belly button was in back towards my spine and lifting. I couldn't find it. And I couldn't shrug through my shoulders for the life, because when I tumbled, my legs were strong and I was strong, so I didn't use technique as much because I wasn't a gymnast. And I had no idea how to use my muscles because I had never used them before. And I was like, I'm not going to make this team.
But I thought it was awesome because, I mean, you've obviously progressed so much in such a short amount of time to make, as you said, to make Blue Squad as a freshman, female or male, doesn't matter, it's like very hard. And, you were able to do that and able to do it for 5 years, which anybody who does competitive collegiate cheerleading for 5 years, I mean, God bless you, because that's tough.
Yeah, I ended up not trying out my super senior year because my foot was broken. I had broken it my first year at USA, and I competed on a broken foot and threw a standing full on a broken foot. And I got back, and we didn't think it was broken when I was there. We got back, and I just remember I had let it rest for like 2 weeks, and then I went to sun on it, and I couldn't stand on it. And so we went in, and like my bone had already started thickening up. So I didn't try out my super senior year of college. And all these kids thought I was crazy because I like was in a boot just walking around. And I was like, okay, whatever. But
but I mean, obviously you talked about the unbelievable winning tradition at Kentucky. Obviously it made you the person who you are today. But what a lot of people don't know, because I get asked this a lot, is like, why aren't there more kids on the U.S. team? And I said, well, they're not allowed to do it until their senior year. That's a T. Lynn Jomo thing, and which I understand that. But obviously you were eventually become a senior, and you were able to do it, and you were able to do the U.S. national team. We talked about, if you missed our Coach's Corner full out chat from about a month ago, it was awesome. Go ahead and listen to that one on podcast or on YouTube. But talk about your experience being on the U.S. national team, and maybe, just what it meant to you to represent your country there for ICU.
Word. So Kentucky has my heart, 100%. Kentucky has my heart. But the U.S. national team was not a goal. It was not a plan. It was never like somewhere I saw myself going and doing. I never thought that I was, going to be good enough for that. And I never thought that I would have as much interest in it as I did. And, it started 2008, 2009. And I was in middle school during that time, but, we got to Kentucky and nobody really did it. So I didn't really have like anybody to look up to that I knew that was doing it. And that time Allie hadn't been coaching yet. She had just like started around that time. So I didn't really have like an in there, and I didn't really like know what the process was or like how it went or really what they did. And my partner, Ryan Brown, I remember him trying out for it. And that was really the first time that I got any like input on it or like saw anything that really happened with it. And I started to think that it was like the coolest thing ever. So we're not allowed to, you've already touched on this, we're not allowed to do it until we are a senior or an outgoing, like leaving the program. And that is simply because we're so busy in the spring semester. There's so much that's going on, and we are 100% like committed to, you know, your academics are way more important than athletics. And if you're not doing well in school, then you need to take a step back from everything else that's going on, and you need to focus on your schoolwork. And spring semester is when a lot of things happen. We already missed like the first week of school. We're there for like a day or two, depending on your class schedule, before we leave for national. So you've already missed a week. And then basketball tournaments come in. And regardless of what team you're on or what you're doing, it's women and it's men's basketball. So you're gone. And like, we are blessed with such a good basketball program, but it does bring in some like problematic aspects when you're gone from school for that much time. And so we were just not allowed to do it. Like it's just like hey, we know better for you than to let you go do this. And it was extremely hard. I have to say, my senior year that I went in, and it was my first time like trying to balance being in practice like 2 and 3 times a day and still having homework due. And that's around your finals time too. So you're really trying to, like, whether you're in a group project or you're trying to get papers done or like getting all of that put together projects. Yeah, like it's extremely difficult. But it is something that I would do over and over and over and over and over again. I would do it until my feet fell off if I could.
Because remember, on our show, you committed to Krista and Leroy that you would do it again. You committed. So
do it if I was able to give my best to the program, because it deserves nothing less than the best. And you know, as I get older, I kind of don't stun as often. I do have like a really big insecurity on like comparing myself from like where I was in 2017 to like now. Obviously I know I can still stunt, but like if I can't be the very best that I can be, I don't think that I should lay that on a program and make them deal with it. I think that's very selfish of me. And the reason I didn't try out this year is because we were coaching at Cheer Extreme. And the way Worlds was going to go, ICU was going to actually come afterwards. So Jay and I were going to have to sacrifice either coaching our kids right before their biggest competition of the season, or, you know, being a subpar athlete trying to coach them from afar and still be involved with them. And it just felt like it was super selfish on our end to try to even do both, because neither of those programs deserve that. But it is the most amazing feeling. It's the most amazing process. It's the most amazing coaching staff. It is something that puts you honestly against all odds. You try out the day after UCA College Nationals, and then y'all definitely need to go listen to the USA Coaches Corner podcast, because we went over all this. We try out, we only practice for 10 days, and we do challenges up until then, but there's nothing like practicing with your team. Like it doesn't prepare you to go full out to do our challenges. Like we try our best, but it's different. So you go in and it's 10 days of absolute just like beating your body to death. It is beating your body to death. I broke my foot. Like I've had cortisone shots in my shoulder. And it's hard. It's very, very hard, but it's the most rewarding process that I've ever been a part of, because of how hard it is and because of how much everyone there wants it. And we're all from different backgrounds. It's my NCAA friends, my UCA friends, you know, like my friends that are so good at partner stunt. My last year, not this year, obviously, because they didn't compete, but last year we had the last 4 years of NCAA partner stunt champions on the team. And it was so awesome. And it was so neat because, you know, TJ and Sabrina had won the year before Spencer and I won. And then we beat them. And then Ryan and Millery came in the next year and beat me and Spencer. And then Colin and Mackenzie came in and then beat them the next year. And it's no hard feelings. It's so much respect, and just like, because you know how much work goes into it. So when you have that quality of athletes and that quality of people on the mat together, it just produces an amazing atmosphere, an amazing like team. And let alone our coaches are like the best coaches you could ever ask for. And I've been coached by a lot of phenomenal people, And I have all due respect for all the coaches that have gotten me to where I am in my life. But there's just something special about doing something that's so hard like that and being against all odds and having someone lead you through that process that, and is just there to guide you and keep like a calm and level head that it's not something that everyone can do. It's not for that is for sure, but it is so worth it. And when you get to the end of it and broken foot and all and whatever's hurting, like I've seen Ed, his shoulder get popped out of place like mid routine and he still continues to go. Like it's crazy, but it's all of those things you just forget about it when you're on that podium and you hear the national anthem and it's just like you're all standing there and it's so worth it and you just know that like you've done what you were supposed to do. Like you're gonna make me cry. But it is so worth it. And then thankfully I was able to do it again in Poland and I was able to do it again in Costa Rica. And Costa Rica was not a planned trip. I was not supposed to go. I didn't know I was going until 10 days before. I was a break in case of emergency. And I was not in shape and I was so sore. I was so sore, but I was so glad that I did it. It was so needed and it brought my heart back into the sport. So it made me want to do it over and over and over again, which Leroy has a bad habit of encouraging for me whenever I need to be done. He's
a pretty convincing guy is what I've learned.
I can't say no to him. It's a really bad quality. I cannot say no to him. I've tried numerous times and I just can't. He asks me and I can't say no.
We are here with Whitney Agee Hollman. We're about 20 more minutes here. So any last minute questions, just tap on the question mark at the bottom and send us some questions and we'll get to some of them here later. Well, you talked about doing your 5th year and how you're so glad you did it because it was a great year for you. But something which was awesome was being able to go to South Korea for the Winter Olympics. And I've talked to Tony and Leroy about it. But really haven't had an athlete perspective of it. So I'm excited to hear just how was that trip? How was it to go to South Korea and to be involved with the Winter Olympics and Team USA?
Oh gosh, that was one of the most challenging trips of my life, to be completely honest. You know, I've been blessed since then to go back to Asia and I have taught cheerleading in like 7 different countries now, aside from competing in others. And that trip was, you know, I've already had the pride of representing the United States of America in my home country and like on our soil. And then we went over there and we had practiced before and nothing could have prepared me for that trip. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Oh, I'm sure that you've seen the pictures of it snowing outside. On leggings. I had on like 3 pairs of leggings. I had on a jacket. I have on gloves and earmuffs while we're doing our nationals pyramid. It was our nationals routine. And we had tweaked like some parts of it. We had like 3 different versions of it depending on like the performance. We would do performances every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And it was neat to go and just experience Pyeongchang like in all of its glory. Beautiful, by the way. Seoul is amazing. Pyeongchang is amazing. Gangwon is amazing. And being able to just like see the culture and have somebody that actually like brought us into it. And on top of it, all the other countries that were participating with us, some of us already had friends because of like ICU and being on USA. So it was nice to be able to see them again. But then we were practicing with them in the mornings and to see like, you know, Flyers All-Stars from Canada was representing Canada and like we already knew of them and trying to like put this big routine together for like closing ceremonies for us all to do it was really interesting and we were all going out to do different performances each day. And we got to go see, we were like at the, it wasn't the ice skating rink, it was the ice like track and stuff. And we were in that indoor facility, which was amazing. You know, we were like walking through the villages and we were able to see all the performance areas and just like the sheer amount of like, you know, of of performance and like production that they had put into this event, and you see it on TV, but like actually like being there and like seeing it in person, it's amazing how they put together everything so quickly. And yeah, that picture is actually on our military base.
Mm-hmm.
That was our military. That was a performance that we did for our military, which was one of the most humbling things I've ever done. It was so neat to just go and see like how selfless our American troops are that go over there and live there, and their families that go over there and live with them too. And it warmed my heart that like we do make an effort to do things for them. And that was like the Hershey's Festival that they were doing for them. It was really cool to see, and it was really, my grandpa served in Vietnam, so like I've like grown up, you know, knowing a little bit, but not like a whole lot about the military life. But just seeing that and like being able to do that for them and them appreciating it, and seeing little kids that grow up in a different country simply because their family members are like over there. It was so neat. There's so much that went into it that was more than just cheerleading. The like life lessons and, you know, just seeing a different perspective of somebody else other than yourself was cool. Now the performances, I think I could go the rest of my life without doing another pike open double back weather. It was 18 degrees. I think there was like no warm up. We were doing stuff like cold turkey. It was like day 5, and we were doing it on the ground, and like the ground underneath of the mats was like holy and like not even. And we were trying to be careful about like where we stepped. And at that point, it was just like, come on, guys, like let's just do it. But then we got to closing ceremonies, and, you know, we were at closing ceremonies, and Leroy's described it like closing ceremonies for ICU. And that really was like kind of how it was, except it was this big celebration of all of the countries. And it was so cool to see. And, you know, we were like right there beside like Sean White and like all these people that had just won like gold medals. And I was like, I never thought I'd be here, that's for sure. But it was very, very neat, because you know how much like work and effort like they put into being there, and we were just there trying to do our best to represent as best we could and like be spectators, but at the same time cheer them on and still try to do our job. But it was very, very neat. It was just very out of our comfort zone, but you know, you only grow out of your comfort zone. So
I used that. There was a video I saw of you guys. You pretty much threw your first music full out, and there was like snowflakes falling, and it was clearly cold outside. And you guys smacked it. No extra spotters. I mean, it's legal, but if somebody falls, like they're falling hard. Like they ain't gonna get caught probably. And I remember showing my team, and I'm like, I am done with any excuses of I'm too sweaty or I'm too tired. I'm like, this team right here just smacked their first music. Like you said, I think you maybe watered down like one little thing. I mean, it was so little though. And that was it. And I'm like, it's literally 20 degrees out. It's freezing outside. And they're in full warm-ups. And I was impressed. I couldn't believe it. And then I showed it to Reese. And Reese is like, yeah, they shouldn't have watered it down.
I knew he was going to say that. But you're not the only coach to use that. As soon as we got back from that trip, Jomo was like, if you can do it in South Korea, you can do it anywhere. Like, but it was, you know, the fun fact, we eat bread, like as our appetizer. They eat kimchi. If you don't know what kimchi is, it's like pickled spicy cabbage, and they like to eat cold foods when it's cold and hot foods when it's hot. So like a lot of our food was like cold and spicy and stuff. Not all of it, but it's like some of it. And the boys, like I remember Josh Baker like wasn't eating for a couple days because he like couldn't find anything that he wanted to eat. So like some of the boys had like lost weight, and like it was crazy. It was a crazy time, but it was so fun. We had so much fun just, you know, doing everything that we did and being there. It was a blast.
I was actually born in South Korea. I'm half South Korean. Yes. And so I've had more than enough kimchi. And I know, and I was actually in Pyeongchang. My family is about 45 minutes outside of Pyeongchang. And I actually got to see the Olympic Village being built. So I was there about 3 months before the Winter Olympics started. So it was really cool to see the buildings being built and being finished up. And then seeing it on TV, it was very cool.
You should have stayed. You should have just tagged along.
I was telling, so Lori Harris told me this awesome story about how like, same thing. Nobody was eating. Nobody wanted to eat the food. And she had to go like on this food run and get like these boxed lunches. And I was like, I should have just called my family up, and they would have made a great American feast for you if they could have. But yeah.
Our mom. She was our mom the entire trip. We were so thankful for her the whole time. She was just like life savior. And like so, a lot of the food was good. Like it wasn't that all the food was bad. It was just some people like weren't ready. I'm not a picky eater, but some people were not ready to like get out of their comfort zone. And it's not normal for us, but it's it. We still had really good food. Like the dumplings, whew, like amazing. But yeah, no, she was. We wouldn't have gotten through that without her. I would.
Well, one more piece of your life I want to get to before we get to a couple questions is, as you talked about, you never did camps or anything growing up through high school or anything. So then all of a sudden, like, okay, I'm going to do UCA staff. So, talk about your staff experience, how you got into it, but ultimately, like, your first experience at a UCA camp was actually being a staffer, not being a camper.
Yeah, it was. So Hank told me that if I wanted to cheer at Kentucky and I wanted to do all these things, that I needed to work staff. I was like, okay, whatever, like, cool. So I went and tried out, and I did my tryout, and I was not a game day cheerleader. Like, West Virginia is weird. Like, I was not a game day cheerleader. I was awful. I was not a material girl. Like, I was definitely a girl, and I was bad at it at that point. And so I went and did my tryout, and I made it. And I went to work week the day after I graduated from high school. The first day was actually the day of my high school graduation. So, I graduated high school, and then the next morning at 8 a.m. I got on a flight, and I was in Alabama. And I did work week, and I really struggled through it. I didn't know that I needed to know the material before. Like, I struggled through it. Like, Megan Murdoch came over, and she was a junior at the time that I was a freshman. She was on core staff. So she was the it girl. She was like, sweetheart, did nobody tell you that you needed to know the material? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm sorry. And my first camp after work week was Bama 1. And Bama 1 is like 400 kids. It's like one of the biggest camps all summer. And they still do like home pom and home routine. Or they did during that point. I haven't worked at Bama camp in a long time. And I had no idea what that was. I had no idea what went on at a UCA camp. I didn't know how I was supposed to act. I didn't know what was supposed to happen until work week. So I was still trying to process all of those emotions and, just graduating from high school. And I was definitely out of my comfort zone. None of my friends were there. Like, the closest friends I had was Ryan Heinrich and Ryan Brown that were cheering in Kentucky with me. And I just like hung on to them. And I was like, help me. And so I went to do this Bama camp. And I had no idea what this home pom sheet was supposed to look like. I had no idea, like, what was correct and what was incorrect. And poor Megan Murdoch, she got my sheet, and she was looking over it. And I just saw, like, red everywhere. And she was like, you just do it again. And I was like, Megan, I don't know how to do it. Like, and so she helped me through it, and she had me write another one. And same thing happened. And she was like, this one was a little bit better, but like, you still need to put in some work. And so finally my third one was acceptable. And from that point on, I was like, okay, it's like, we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to be willing to learn and like actually pay attention a little bit better and be a better sponge, because right now we are not doing well. And so I did. And then the next year I had fun that summer. That summer was a blast. And I just did like mostly residential camps, overnight camps, like the works. And then the next summer I was stunting, and I had gotten better. And Miranda Knoll approached me and asked if I could do any baskets. At that point, I could do a pike open double. And I didn't know that she was vetting me for college staff, and that's what she was doing. And so I got asked to be on college staff, and that's what I did. And my first camp before college staff was Kentucky Elite, and Tony Nash was HIing that. Well, he was HIing the demos, because the next week was Texas, where we like make everything up. And I did a rewind down, and that is the first time that I'd ever encountered Tony. I was scared to death of him. He made me cry. And I didn't want to be around him anymore. And then I had the whole next summer, like the whole rest of that summer, with him on college staff. And then the next summer I was on it again, and I was on course staff, and I just kind of like got sucked in. And the more that I did staff, the more I heard like, oh, I know your mom. Oh, I know your mom. Oh, I was your mom's stunt partner. Oh, did you know that I cheered with your mom? And it happened one day. It was the VP of varsity. It was Bill Seeley. And I was like, oh, my mom. And he was like, yeah, girl, like your mom and I go like way back. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. Like maybe I can do this. And then, yeah, Tony has been a very big light in my life since then. He's taught me so much. He's been around to watch my Kentucky days. He was there to watch all of my USA days. He was there for all of my college staff days. He knows me inside and out like a book. He can tell you when I am having issues. Like he's the best coach that never was my coach. Mm-hmm. Like he's never officially my coach, but he could coach me like one of his own children that he'd had since he was like 8 years old. And so I've gotten a lot of good relationships out of staff and out of UCA and working for varsity. I got the pleasure of being able to make the stunt material for those that compete in the stunt programs. I made the stunt material. I got to work with all of these amazing people from all over again. And I think that that's really what helped me through my college years. Like I got to stunt with people from Bama. I got to stunt with people from UCF. I got to stunt with people from Kansas. And I'm a big person there's always something to learn. Like you are never the best of the best. There's always something for you to learn, and someone always knows something a little bit different or more than you do. And even if it doesn't click in your head that way, you might be able to help somebody out in another day just by knowing the information that they're passing on to you. And that's always super valuable, regardless of whether it's to do with skills, even if it's just like your communication, the way that you coach your teams, the way that you communicate with your teammates or your stunt partner, or, the way that you do pyramids, or just little tips and tricks. And I really account all of the things that like I learned to that, because I got so much experience in it, and I got to work with so many different people that had different views on things and different backgrounds. And yeah, it's really valuable. It was extremely valuable. And now I get to do it full time. So,
and we're going to get to that part of your life. We got about 12 minutes left here on Instagram Live. They kick you off right at an hour, so we keep everything within that hour. But let's get to a couple questions that we actually had some people send in real quick. And this is from Juliana. And she says, how did you end up making Matt your freshman year since you didn't think you would? Did Jomo give an explanation? I mean, you were dead set, like, there's no way I'm making Matt my freshman year. But you did. Why? Was there an explanation? Do you know, like, what was it about you that year was like, man, that we got to put this girl on Matt?
To be completely honest with you, this is completely transparent. I was in the gym, like, every day. I was in the gym every single day that I could be. And that's kind of what happens after that program. Like the kids that are in there a lot. And I put in work. I did the basics. I did everything that I needed to. And then my roommate was so talented, y'all. My roommate was Lexi Hammond. She was so talented. She had more talent in her pinky toe than I did my whole body. And I got my meeting, and it was between us two. And Jomo told me that he put me on Matt over Lexi simply because I was a little bit smaller and I was a little bit better at elites. So, and he needed that fifth elite. So he thought that I would have a better chance. But I will tell you that Matt is never set. It is never a permanent thing. So Lexi could have taken my spot at any given point, or any other girl for that matter. It is not, hey, this is set. This is, you still have to work for your spot regardless of whether your feet are on the mat or not. So
it's amazing how if you go and work on your own, you get better. Oh my goodness.
I know, it's crazy. It's the hardest thing to explain to kids though. I'm like, go and just do basics.
You have the gym rat. I mean, you're right. I mean, you have people in the program in every program that's probably in the gym every day. And it's no coincidence that usually those are the ones that get rewarded with stuff like nationals, and things like that. So hard work pays off, everybody. One more question, which I'm sure is a question that a lot of people would love to hear your input on. What should I know before UK tryouts? What is something that if you are the next Whitney Agee and you're like, I want to go to Kentucky, I want to make Kentucky, just maybe, a couple of tips or tricks that would help them in regards to giving their best tryout performance?
Do your research. Make sure that that's the school that you want to go to. It looks all pretty and dandy, and it is. It's pretty and it's amazing. but I'm a big advocate for there's a school for everybody, and you need to make sure that that's really what you want to do, because it is a lot. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of days being in the gym and a lot of sacrifices. So just make sure that's really what you want to do, and just be confident. We say confidence with a K. Be confident in yourself, and your interview is half of your tryout. So just be confident in yourself. Be open to talking to people and be open to learning, because we are a very big advocate for we do our tryouts off of, your basics and like what we see in you, your potential. It's not necessarily about where your skills are right there, then and there. Are you better than this girl right now? It's based off of how you carry yourself and how you speak to your teammates. And, do you have good lines? Do you have good basics? Like, do we see potential in you? Are you willing to learn? Because that goes a lot further than somebody that has, all these skills, but they might not necessarily have the best technique or the best attitude. So, be confident. Don't ever sell yourself short. You can do way more if you believe in yourself and you you are there for you. You can definitely make things happen. Just be open to it. Be open to it and believe in yourself, and be willing to put in the work and have an open mind.
Some great advice. Absolutely. I mean, confidence. I mean, and the funny thing is, like we talked about in the USA Coed episode. So again, if you missed the USA Coed episode, go back and watch it on YouTube or listen to it on podcast. Confidence. Walking in, like, you have confidence that you're going to make the team. Absolutely. Goes a long way. So the one thing you want to get into is today. What are you doing today? And, you talked about how obviously through staff and everything, you got to meet so many awesome people, which obviously you got to meet Jay. And we had Jay with you on our Coach's Corner episode, which obviously led to you guys falling in love and getting married. And so congratulations again. I know you're just married. I mean, just talk about kind of, what are you guys doing today? What are the goals? What are the plans here for the new Hollmans?
Well, we were living in Charlotte last year, and we just recently moved back to Huntington, West Virginia, where I'm originally from. We are really close to Kentucky and Ohio, so we're like 5 minutes away from the Kentucky border. And I had coached, before we left for Charlotte, I had coached at Pride Athletics. And those kids are from Greenup County, and Greenup is like an amazing high school cheerleading school. It's an amazing county. It is, it's the epitome of everything that goes into making a great program. And I really missed those kids. So we kind of moved back here, and right now we're coaching there again. And it's kind of hard to walk away from like 11-year-olds that do high full rounds and double dragons and, like front handspring ups and back handspring up. Like it's hard, and they put in so much effort and they have so much potential, and they just love cheerleading. So we came back here for that, and to be a little bit closer to my family, because, we just got married. Like, kids are like a thought process. So, but we're working full time for VROC. So we're traveling, and we are teaching skills camps, and we still get to do all of the amazing stuff that we did before, which is, we are so thankful for. This job has been the biggest blessing. Last year we went to Sweden and did a coaches conference. We judge things now. We're still at high school nationals. We're still at all-star nationals. We're still at all of the events. So we still get to be involved the way that we want to be involved. And, it's kind of having the best of both worlds. I get to coach my kids, and I get to be at events, and I still get to teach skills camps. And Jay and I are both very passionate about that. We love teaching people. It's the best gift that I think that you can give to somebody. Because, it's not, a skill is not for you to hole up in your heart and just keep, we get better by having somebody else get better after us. And, we got the 2 dogs here. We have these 2 giant Alaskan Malamutes that are humongous. They're snow dogs. And right now we're just like enjoying life. It's kind of hard with like coronavirus and stuff. Traveling wise has been a little bit restricted, but we're still pretty busy. I luckily got like this week off. I had some doctor's appointments and stuff at home, so I got this week off. But he's actually in Utah right now teaching skills camps. So we're still around a lot.
I'm about to say, I saw that VROC is starting to do a little bit of stuff. There is some stuff going on, which is great. Obviously, each state is different in what they're allowing right now and everything. And obviously, there's going to be, sounds like some big news with college athletics coming out here in the next week or two. And so, fingers crossed that we have something for all of us here. But I'm glad that it has not affected you guys. I'm glad you guys are still able to have your beautiful wedding, obviously, and everything went well there. So before
our venue canceled on us 9 days before the wedding.
You told that story about how the venue just canceled on you guys and oh my goodness.
It was the perfect day though. It was the perfect day.
As you said, a little bit of, as you talked about adversity, that's okay.
It's champions.
Yep. The last question I'd like to ask you is the question I ask everybody to end their talk is, I'm sure there's a lot, but if you could pick one piece of advice that you have received either from a parent, a teacher, a coach, and one piece of advice that has just always stuck with you, that you try to preach every day as you as a person or as you as a choreographer or as a coach.
Be your own hero. I had one of my tumbling coaches tell me that when I was in high school, and it was actually because I was fangirling so hard. I wanted to be Whitney Love so bad when I grew up, so bad. And he was like, I'm sick and tired of you talking about this girl. Like, just be your own hero. Like, do the things that you want to do for you, not because she did them. And then Whitney ended up being my best friend too. So it all comes full circle. But seriously, especially now in this day and age where there's Instagram and there's TikTok and we see everybody else doing all these amazing things and we kind of like compare ourselves and our lives to that, and you think that you're not doing as well as somebody else is doing because you see the things that they're doing. Like, be your own hero. Do it for you. Like, do the stuff that you want to do and be proud of what you're doing, and don't compare yourself to anyone else that's living life. Like, those things are our highlight reel 99% of the time. It's not, you don't see the other stuff that goes on. You don't see all the fails and the bad times.
I love that. Be your own hero. That's a great piece of advice, because I agree with you. We unfortunately, we always want to be not us for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Well, Whitney, first of all, we do have your husband, Jay, coming on here in a few weeks. So that's a little teaser that I'll be interviewing Jay to get his life. Because as some of you may or may not know, he's a UCF cheerleader, former cheerleader, and big rivalry with University of Kentucky. And so I'm excited to hear his story. The other side of the story of the Hollman couple here. But Whitney, I just want to thank you for your time. It meant everything. And, stay healthy, stay safe. We'll keep in touch. And I'm quite sure I'll talk to you again.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. It was a blast.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Whit. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Whitney Agee Hollman, what an unbelievable person. Great piece of advice. Be your own hero. I've actually never heard that, and I think that's a great piece of advice, especially in today's day and age. But real quick shout out to my sponsor, CheerChalk. Go to cheerchalk.us and put in the discount code FULLOUT10 to get an additional 10% off any deal they have going on right now. Again, cheerchalk.us. Put in the discount code FULLOUT10 to get an additional 10% off. CheerChalk, made in America, great small business product, developed and made by cheerleaders. Next week on Full Out Chats, we have Leroy McCullough, part 2. Yes. We spoke about Leroy today a little bit with Whitney and how he's just a very charismatic, unbelievable person. Had him on a couple months ago. Had him on our USA Coed. Again, if you haven't heard or seen that, go to our USA Coed Coaches Corner episode on YouTube and as a podcast. But his story is so awesome. We only got through like half of it last time we talked. So I told him we need to do a part 2, and we're able to make it work. So next Tuesday, August 18th, here, 1:00 p.m., Leroy McCullough part 2. All right, we're going to talk about his marriage, NCA, and cheer athletics, things we did not get to go over his last time. So again, next week, Leroy McCullough joining me. And as always, thank you everybody for your support. This has been awesome. Please help me out. It's free to do. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to us as a podcast. If you have iTunes, please give us a rating, a 5-star rating, and a nice review. We always appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. So thank you all again. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Have a great day.